Hey there, and thank you for joining us on GamePoints, our weekly get-together. We talk about last week in gaming news. I am, as always, your host, Stephen Brown. Joining me today is David Smith. Say hey, David.
Hey.
Thanks for joining us live. Every Monday night, we do try to stream at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Feel free to join in the chat with any topics or discussions you might want to bring up. We are definitely an interactive podcast, so feel free to hop in. If you can't join us live and you're watching us on YouTube, thanks for tuning in. Give us a like, subscribe, and all that good stuff. And feel free to follow us and everything else on there. David, this week we're going to be talking about some 100-foot robot golf. We have some No Man's Sky issues we need to discuss. We need to find out if Hannibal is the one that ate Norman Reedus' baby. But before we get into all that, GamePoints is going to be at PAX this year. PAX West specifically. You excited for it?
Oh, yeah. I do like the fact that they renamed it from Prime because they actually want people to buy tickets to the other ones.
Well, not only that, but from what I hear,
everyone still buys tickets to this one.
From what I hear, East is actually as many people showing up as West now, too. So I could be wrong on that. But it's not like I look at PAX numbers every year or anything like that.
It's just funny because for the longest time, this is considered the major show. And they're really, really trying to get away from that, but people don't really listen. So you still have people show up from Texas and the East Coast to the West Coast one.
Fair enough. Disco Teen says East is better.
He is factually wrong. That's unfortunate for him.
Fair enough. But yeah, we will be at PAX this weekend. As such, our next show, which would normally be scheduled 1 week exactly from today, probably will be held on a Tuesday at 8 p.m. instead of Monday at 8 p.m. All notifications we posted on Facebook and anywhere else you can get us. So just keep that in mind if you're following us and wondering where we are next week. It's because we're at PAX. And I think that takes care of the bookkeeping, so let's go ahead and get right into things tonight. The very first topic, and this is actually bigger news for us than anything else, and that is PS Now is now on PC right now. Now.
Wait, is it actually right now? I thought it was out soon, but not out now.
I don't know. When is soon now?
I think I'm supposed to get a coffee before I answer that question.
Okay, you could be right. I could have put the wrong thing there. I could have misread it. Let's take a look at the article here. Now, this is via gamesindustry.biz. PS Now expands to PC. Sony is expanding PlayStation Now once again, this time to enable the game streaming service to run on Windows PCs. The company today announced that its PlayStation app would debut in some European markets soon, to be followed by a North American launch shortly thereafter. Okay, so I take that back. It's not right now. I apologize, but it is coming. The important thing is that this is actually big news. One other thing before we get right into it, they are making a USB dongle that is going to make your PlayStation 4 remote compatible with PCs, which you can kind of do technically right now.
Without any extra janky bullshit.
Yeah,
don't
that's
worry about
the key
downloading weird Bluetooth drivers or do anything crazy. It's a wireless dongle. Makes your PlayStation controller work. That's cool.
So yeah, I like this. David?
I'm actually very excited. I was wondering when Sony was going to use that purchase of Gaikai from a while ago.
That's exactly what I wanted to bring up.
Because they bought that video game streaming service, which is very similar to OnLive that went bust. Who Razer bought? Somebody? So we'll see what happens with that. But with Sony, I think they have a lot of franchises that I'm interested in. And since I currently don't have a PlayStation, I'm actually pretty stoked about this because I can go back and play a lot of games that I've missed. And if they have online play, I'm going to be very excited. That's the only thing I'm not sure of yet.
There are a lot of questions that I want to ask. One is that online play feature. I'm very curious to see what's on there. Two, I'm curious to know if it's going to be the exact same catalog you find on PlayStation 4, because I don't know if licensing fees are going to start tripping people up or not. I don't know how that's going to work.
I thought I sent you. There is a full list of all the PlayStation Now games currently. I will have to get that to you, and then we can put it in the notes later.
Okay, sounds good. This does kind of help explain that purchase of Gaikai, because when they bought it, I was like, what the fuck are they buying this for? It makes no sense. And then they rolled out PlayStation Now, and I was kind of like, okay, it makes sense now, but it still seems a little bit of an overkill. But to see them start expanding out into the realm of PC, I'm starting to kind of see what Sony's long game here is with Gaikai, and now it makes total sense for them to buy that. Will PlayStation Now actually be worth it now? I have no idea. We'll find out. One good thing, however, is that it's going to open up the Sony library to people who don't even own a Sony machine.
I'm
Which,
gonna beat The Last of Us.
yeah, this kind of begs the question: are we getting to the point where we even need a Sony console anymore, or are they just going hard PC?
Ico's on the list. Well, here's the thing: these are all PS3, PS2, and classic titles. I don't believe there's any PS4 titles on PlayStation now.
True, but Sony's starting to dip their toe in PC games. The examples are blanking out on my mind right now. I apologize, but you're starting to see the stuff come up.
Mm-hmm. I just think it's cool. I'm excited.
Yeah,
There's actually a lot of stuff that I'm interested in.
more choice to play games is always better, regardless of what systems it's on. So this is always good. David,
I just think it's going to be funny to play the entire Uncharted series on a PC.
that's so weird to me. That's so alien. Like I can't. That'd be
The
like
way it-
playing.
the way
That'd
it
be like
should have
playing
been done in
Mario
the
on an
first place.
Xbox.
Yeah, why not?
David, right now you've been playing a lot of No Man's Sky, right?
I have. I'm one of the remaining 12,000 people.
That's exactly what we're going to get at, as well as other things. Now, No Man's Sky came out roughly 2 weeks ago today on PS4. PlayStation computer players had to wait till
They had to wait
couple
3 whole
days
days.
after. Sold very well,
Big numbers. One of the biggest Steam releases of the year, for
but
sure.
it's had a massive drop off. Now, this image here comes from Steam Spy. They're essentially a website that gathers a bunch of Steam statistics. As you can see, when it launched, there was a concurrent total of just over 200,000 players at launch. In less than a week, it has now dropped to 10% of that, only 20,000 players. A couple things to keep in note. One, this is PC only. Two, the dates on this chart are between the 13th and the 24th, which is a week from this show's date right now. So that number could even be lower or somehow higher than what you're seeing at the moment. The point is, it has had a dramatic fall off. For comparison's sake, The Division on PC had an 80% drop off 2 months after it came out. And this is a 90% drop off a week after it's come out. And a lot of this, I feel, could be attributed to the fact that, let's face it, if you like No Man's Sky or not, you could love the game, but this is not what was sold to you at all. So
The hype train ran a little crazy with it.
Hype train ran a little crazy with it, but I guess the question is, and as you can see on the ticker down below, did No Man's Sky lie to you? And I say that answer is yes. Because when you go back and listen to all Sean Murray's interviews, he talks about how you can do all this stuff. There's Jim Sterling famously put a video up on his Jim Quisition podcast about detailing all of this. There's a site called One Man's Lie. You can go find all this up where someone's compiled all the shit that Sean Murray has said that was not true in the game. For example, he said things like, you can make an entire living never once setting foot on a planet. That's just absolutely not true. The videos that they showed when they revealed this back at the VGAs in 2014, I believe was the date, look nothing like the final product. There is a bunch of misleading statements from Murray himself, and a lot of this did not get corrected by either Hello Games or PlayStation itself, so they're just as culpable in this. So, David, you like No Man's Sky.
Yeah.
I don't.
It's true. I feel like there's a specific reason, because you talk about all the shit that Sean Murray said and that he lied to you and that Hello Games didn't deliver all these promises and they didn't have any of the features they're supposed to have and blah, 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 boo-hoo bullshit. I was excited for this game, but I wasn't stupid, frothing at the mouth, staring at every iota of information on this game.
Neither was
I heard about it. I thought it sounded cool. I read space-based exploration survival game, and I thought, awesome. I like those things, and I bought it. And it is a exploration space-based survival game. So I'm remarkably fine with it because I didn't really listen to all the other bullshit that people are mad about.
But yeah, I was going to say, you do realize, however, that bullshit was said from the official sources, right? Now,
Cool.
Sean Murray was very slippery about it. He made sure not to explicitly say
If
a
I
bunch
had
of
been
things.
all aboard the hype train and I was like eating every single word that Sean Murray said and I was personally offended by it, then I'd probably be in a much different position, but I wasn't. So I get it. People are mad. People are trying to get refunds for a game that they put, honestly, in my opinion, way the fuck too many hours in to get a refund on. But whatever. That's That's a whole different thing.
See, I take a different stance on it. This is the second point I was wanting to bring up, is that a whole bunch of refunds are being hammered out right now. Now, earlier in the week, there was a rumor that Steam was offering refunds carte blanche. Didn't matter. You just said if you had 2 hours or 150 hours into it, they would give you a refund on it. That has since been debunked. In fact, they put up on their Steam page, hey, this falls into the normal refund parameters that we normally have. That said, they are still being very generous with the refunds on it. Even Sony and Amazon, I'm told, are allowing people to refund this game. Because you got what you wanted, and you got what you read. But I think we both can agree that he said shit implicitly was going to be in this game that is not in this game. And I have to disagree with Zug Warrior in chat, who says it's people's own fault for reading into things that he said. When you say you can encounter other people and be attacked by other people in the game playing the game, there's nothing to read into that. That is him saying there is PvP combat in this game, and there isn't any. When he says you can make a life as a trader and get through the game and never set foot on a planet, you can't do that. These are things that he said you can do that you cannot do. So, does that change your opinion on the refund stance to where you buy a game and it's all wrong?
Okay, so we've had issues with games before that would get a refund, and I get an extension, but I don't get, if you've put 100 hours, 150 hours in the No Man's Sky, you're fucking playing. You don't get pissed at this game and then continue to put another 100 hours in it after deciding that it's trash. I'm sorry. That's bullshit.
Well, when you have a game that's supposed to be an infinite scope trying to get to the center that can take a long time to get to, people's play styles get different. Your argument is
but these people that are complaining about it that have 100 some odd hours in it are saying that they got bored of it in the first 10 minutes and yet somehow managed to put a whole fuck lot more than 10 minutes in the game.
Well, yeah, I mean, you need to capture the entire thing. What if it took 100 hours for it to show up? That's like buying a box set of a DVD. Let's say you bought Stranger Things Season 1, and you watched through the first 9 episodes, and the 10th episode was all fucked up.
It's impossible. There's only 8.
Oh, well, you know what I'm saying. 8. You get to the last episode, but that episode's missing. Are you not entitled to a refund? You put all that time into watching it.
I'm just not down. I still feel that there's a certain line where if you put shit tons of hours in the game, you put shit tons of hours, fuck you. You paid for it.
My stance on it is it was not what was promised. You're entitled to a refund regardless of how much time you put into it. That's how I stand. That's my stance on it, and I think we're just going to agree to disagree on this one. Zugwar in chat does say that that Murray mentioned it was on an old build when he said all that stuff. He might have. I didn't see any of you where he said that, but I will say this is still his responsibility to make sure that point is driven home. And the fact that I'm pretty in tune with all this crap, I never once heard him backtrack on any of those statements. So that should give you an idea of how little he did backtrack on that. Going on, Zugwar also mentions that's like buying a car that's driving 10,000 miles and it doesn't have power windows and you run a refund. If power windows was sold to me as part of that car, they should be fucking in that car. I paid for it if it's not in there, and I never bothered to use power windows until 10,000 miles went off and I realized they're not in there. I fucking want my power windows. At that point, I want a refund or I want them to install the power windows in my car. I want what I paid for. If you sell me something and give me all these promises, and those promises are not what I bought, there's a problem. I don't want to say as far as that's borderline illegal or fraud, but god damn it, you're definitely doing a bait and switch.
There's no point in arguing. There's really no fucking point to it because we have completely different opinions on this, and I'd rather just not. I don't care enough.
All right. Fair enough.
I'm not going to convince the internet. I like the game. I think the game's good. I think that the team has been responding decently well to this shitstorm, and that if they have the ability to throw in new features, they will. But as it stands, I enjoy the game that I am playing.
Awesome. At the end of the day, I don't care about No Man's Sky. It just does. To me, it is a mediocre game. I'm not really upset at it. If I had 100 hours into it, no, I wouldn't refund it either. I'm trying to play devil's advocate here just to get the other side across. That said, I can totally see why people are pissed off about it. And I think that you are entitled to a refund in this case because you were not sold what was promised to you. Would I do it if I had $100 into it? Probably not, because I look at it as I got my money's out of it.
I just think it's the only reason this is coming up is because the game had so much hype, and because it was such a big release for what's actually not a big game. It's an indie studio, and I know I say that before, but I mean it's large in scope, but it is not a big, giant, complicated game that had 80,000 people working shit tons of years on. And it's like where you're mentioning Star Citizen is kind of where I'm going for this. Because we have other games that people have been waiting for a long fucking time that, as far as I can tell, haven't delivered on any fucking thing, but people are still all aboard that fucking dick.
Yeah, I think the difference there is it hasn't been officially released yet. Once these things actually get officially released and not in pre-alpha or beta or whatever, it's kind of a whole different can of worms. That said, if you charge money for something, I think you can kind of judge it accordingly. But Star Citizen has been... See, here's the thing. I just don't know enough about that game besides brief little snippets in there.
I'm just thinking, if you want to go play Star Citizen right now, you totally can, and you can buy that alpha for more than you can pay for for a No Man's Sky.
Yeah, fair enough.
So just a little perspective on that.
And didn't we just do a story very recently about people starting to mass refund Star Citizen because it's not delivering what it promised?
Yeah, dude. Star Citizen's a joke. It's never coming out. At least my game came out.
Two things I want to bring up before we move to the next topic. One, it's kind of a shame that this game is being overshadowed now more by the story around the game than the game itself. Because the game itself, if it didn't have all this hype, it would be kind of cool. It would be this truly impressive in scale. Like this, I can't hammer enough how impressive the scale is to us. I know I said that again already.
Mind-bogglingly massive it is.
The last game I could think of that was this ambitious on its scope was Spore, and we kind of saw how that turned out. But it's a tragedy that part is getting overshadowed by this controversy here, and that is what happens when a hype train runs away from you, and you kind of have a developer who goes out and kind of writes checks his ass can't cash. In the case of Sean Murray, who seems like a nice guy, I give him credit for reaching for the stars. It's just he didn't quite grab the one he was looking for. Which brings me to the next point I want to bring up. Will he be remembered more of a Peter Molyneux or a Randy Pitchford? Because Peter Molyneux is known for gross over-exaggerations. Randy Pitchford's kind of known for just flat-out lying a la Colonial Marines.
I think it depends on the next 6 months.
Okay. Next 6 months, or does he actually have to pop out another game first before we label him one or the other?
No. I want to see what the team does, and if they just continue to improve this, and if all this shit that people want come out, but hey, they managed to get this game gold, and so they released it. Maybe this game is supposed to be in beta. Maybe it's supposed to be in alpha, but maybe they got really fucking excited and released it.
That's a good point you're bringing up here. Would people be less pissed off if it just went to open beta?
Like, if this was just a beta release and all of a sudden everyone was playing
access, since that's the big thing,
would everyone be so mad at it? Even if it early access at $60, because Planetary Annihilation hit total early access at $90, and people bought that shit for some fucking reason.
And that game turned out to be shit.
Yeah, I'm not in charge of what other people do with their money, but
here's the thing about No Man's Sky. And we're going to cut out the massive delays on the release date over and over again because that was starting to piss people off. Let's say it was never given a release date. Let's get rid of that. If it would have just come out as early access, would this be fine? I think so. I think that would have solved a lot of the problems, especially the way he's selling it, because he just did a horrible job of marketing it as a service, which seems to be what he's going for now, instead of as a retail game.
Mm-hmm. Because it's not like they have anything else in the pipeline, and they've been dishing out patches fairly regularly since launch. Like, the game, for a lot of people, was unplayable. If you had Intel processors were having issues, Radeon...
it's unplayable on the PlayStation 4. I've never seen a console game crash as much as No Man's Sky has. It repeatedly crashes on a console.
At least they're working on it. Because... and I'm just going to bring up WB again, we can compare it to Arkham Knight, which was released ungodly unplayable, and instead of working on the fix, they just pulled it from the fucking store and re-released it 4 months later so that they could have new reviews.
Straight up, they pulled it from the store, re-released it, have the new reviews on there, and it still had problems. And I believe last time we talked about it, they just kind of threw their hands up, and went, "Oh well, fuck it, sorry."
That's what you get. Suck a dick.
Anyways, with any luck, this will be the absolute last time we talk about No Man's Sky. However, I've also said that about Arkham Knight as well, and I mean, look at us now.
And we're going to keep bringing it up. We're going to keep bringing up stuff because things that make us mad make us talk. Also, things that make us excited make us talk. And you know what makes me excited?
That would be Death Stranding, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would.
So, Death Stranding, for those of you who don't know, is Hideo Kojima's upcoming game for Sony. It was revealed at E3. Surprisingly, in my opinion, I thought they were just going to have a name and him out there. But instead, they showed this weird trailer with this very interesting song. It's got Norman Reedus cradling an invisible baby that Mads Mikkelsen might have eaten. Because the new rumor right now is, and this is via Eurogamer.net, is that Hannibal actor Mads Mikkelsen appears to have a role alongside Norman Reedus in Hideo Kojima's mysterious PS4 exclusive Death Stranding. And this comes from a couple of videos, or a couple of photos rather, that were taken and people kind of pieced it together. This first one that you're seeing right here is from Hideo Kojima's English Twitter. It's got some cameras set up, a man in an orange jumpsuit. Back to us, we can't see who it is standing there doing some mocap clearly. But a little bit down, a fan of Mads Mikkelsen ran into him and posted this photo here of him wearing an orange jumpsuit with the same black backing on there. And it turns out that Mads Mikkelsen said he was working on a video game that he can't talk about, and that's Japanese.
I wonder what it is.
All of this coincides with the fact that back in January, with this photo here, Hideo Kojima was singing the praises of Mads Mikkelsen, saying that it is his favorite actor. So there's a good chance that Hannibal ate that baby.
Yeah, dude. I'm thinking that's what's going down. I'm excited.
I am
anything
too.
Anything I hear about Death Stranding makes me excited.
And I love Mads Mikkelsen. I think Hannibal is one of the, it's been canceled, but I think Hannibal was one of the most beautifully done and shot shows on TV. If you like the weird artistic shit, I highly recommend taking a look at it. I think it was a goddamn good show. But yeah, so we could get more Mads Mikkelsen. I like that guy anyways. So
I didn't watch too much of that show. I watched like an episode.
Well, I don't think too many people did because it did get canceled after season 3.
Mm-hmm.
You don't cancel a show that people watch.
I watched like an episode from the middle of season 1, so I was really confused. But...
No, it was a fantastic show. I recommend you take a look at it. Anyways, that is still a rumor. It's completely unconfirmed. We don't know if that's going to be the case or not, but my gut says, yeah, Mads Mikkelsen's going to be in Death Stranding. In fact, I'm going to just flat out say he will be.
All right. It's a good call. Bold prediction.
David.
Well, how about things we know more about? Like the fact that Endless Legend is getting a expansion.
How about we
Tempest.
talk about what's up first, and that's Dark Souls 3, The Ashes of Ariandel.
No, I'm going to talk about my expansion first.
Nope, incorrect, because I had the show loaded this way. We have to go this route.
Well, we're going to talk about expansions, and we're going to talk about Dark Souls first, I guess.
Yeah, sounds good. Last week we mentioned that the Dark Souls Twitter was talking about, hey, we got some big news coming out next week, tune in. We both more or less said it has to be DLC, and it is. Dark Souls 3 Ashes of Ariandel? Ariandel? Is that how you pronounce that? Sure. It's coming out October 25th on the PlayStation 4, October 24th for PC. If you take a look at the trailer here, it looks a lot like the Painted World from Dark Souls 1 is going to be featured in this. He's crossing over that bridge to that ruined castle. Do you know what the part I'm talking about there, David?
Yeah, I'm well aware.
You're well aware of what's going on.
I know what's going on. It looks stylish.
Yeah, the trailer also features a painting that looks like someone's about to touch. So it's pretty much, I don't want to say guaranteed, but it's looking very likely that's the case.
Also, chat says it's Ariandel.
Ariandel. Thank you, Warrior. But yeah, like right here, for example, she's about to go touching that painting, and that's what happened in the first Dark Souls, that you got sucked into it. Now, Dark Souls 2 didn't actually have this painted world in it, correct?
Dude, I don't remember much Dark Souls 2.
Yeah, no one does. People just kind of ignored it.
I mean, I played that game,
I will
but
say this. Have you finished Dark Souls 3 yet?
no.
All right. Slight spoilers.
Which is a little ridiculous.
Yeah,
for
given
me,
your love for it.
But I mean, I really like the first one. The problem is while I was playing that game, I was playing it slowly because I was very busy, and then Overwatch came out, and then everything else that's come out has
Souls
come out.
games are hard to go back to if you take a break in them. You kind of have to start from the beginning because you lose where you were at.
But it's just it's tough to jump right back in.
It is. So slight spoilers for Dark Souls 3 if you haven't hit there yet, David. Remember the cathedral from 1 where the painting was?
Mm-hmm.
You find that cathedral in Dark Souls 3.
I've been there.
Oh, you've been that far? Okay. And the painting's gone. It's just not there. So I would imagine the expansion may or may not put it back in there. That could be how you get into there.
Or they moved it. You got to go find it. It's in a forest.
It could be, or it could just be a completely different painting, because if you look at the fortress that when you're crossing the bridge, and if you look at the castle is the fort, whatever you would call it, where the Priscilla was at, it looks in a lot better shape. So it could be a different painting altogether. If you want a full breakdown of the trailer, you can go to Vate Vidya, or whatever the guy's name is, on YouTube. This man knows everything about Dark Souls and makes reasonable assumptions. To be fair, a lot of it is assumption and guesswork, but it's educated assumptions and guesswork if you want. Like,
also,
any
his
kind
voice
of
is really soothing, so
his
you
voice
get that.
Is kind of like this, just calm, like you're listening to public radio. NPR.
Damn it. Well, anyway, that's the Dark Souls expansion. Get excited. It comes out in 7 weeks.
What about this other expansion you're excited for?
The other thing I'm excited for is the Endless Legend expansion. Endless Legend being the 4X game that released along the same times as Civilization Beyond Earth, and shit all over it for being way better.
Yeah, I'm tending to agree with you.
It's actually funny because the more I see of Civ 6, the more I'm thinking, hey, maybe they took some influence from this game that was different than their game. Well, the new expansion for Endless Legend is called Tempest. It's gonna be about the seas. There's a whole new faction in the game. There's actually a new major faction. They're aquatic based. They're specializing in naval warfare, manipulating creatures, and do all this other cool stuff. There's sea fortresses. There's just tons of naval battles.
From the Games Together blog, this expansion will introduce the Morgwar, an aquatic-based major faction specialized in naval warfare and manipulation of other creatures. That would be the major faction you were referring to.
Yeah. But
yeah, it's
Legend-based. It looks stylish, and I'm very excited because I really love that game.
The Endless games in general are all great. Endless Legend was great. I'm an Endless Space fan. In fact, Endless Space 2 is being shown off at PAX. I may or may not have an appointment to go take a look at it. Dungeon of the Endless is an awesome little roguelike tower defense. Which is weird to say those two genres together, but that's what it is. It's a roguelike tower defense. Amplitude it's an Amplitude?
Yeah.
Amplitude Studios. So they do some good stuff. I highly recommend taking a look at it if you like 4X games. If you also like 4X games, Sorcerer King had an expansion recently come out too. I can't remember what it's called, but that's also an interesting 4X game from Stardock. So something to take a look at if you like both of those. David, while we're talking about things you like, let's go ahead and keep this train going on and talk about some 100-foot robot golf.
Oh, yeah. This is the game that had really just the sneakiest announcement ever. They really built it up, and the trouble with this game is it's really hard to grasp exactly what it's about just from the title alone. But 100-foot robot golf
it promises what it delivers, or it delivers what it promises.
Is a PlayStation VR game where you can play as a giant 100-foot tall robot, and you play golf in cities. So your hazards include buildings, planes, trains, automobiles, all that fun stuff. And it looks pretty damn hilarious. This is definitely more of like a tongue-in-cheek kind of game, as you can guess from the fact that they made 100-foot tall robots playing golf. But
yeah,
the
absolutely.
thing to me is the fact that it's a VR game, and so you have the ability to jump out.
VR compatible. It's not solely VR.
Whatever. You have the ability to jump out onto the shoulder of this giant robot and like watch your shot as the robot swings. I don't know. It looks hilarious.
This is from the official PlayStation blog right here. 100-Foot Robot Golf tees up October 10th on PlayStation 4, so we finally now have a release date. October 10th, of course, being a couple days before PlayStation VR itself launches. You can take a look at the blog itself if you want to get into it. One thing that they do talk about is a new robot that they added. And this robot is called Project C. And what Project C are 5 corgis. 5 dogs. Who they themselves hop into giant robot dogs. And those robot dogs Voltron into a gianter robot dog. And yes, gianter is a word.
A gianter golfing mega dog.
Absolutely true. That's possibly the most adorable thing I've ever heard of.
Yeah, I'm down. Voltron golf dog.
The question is, do the robot dogs like bounce up and down real excitedly when they're about to do something, and they just like fucking wreck cars and cause little mini earthquakes everywhere?
Hopefully,
we'll see. 100-Foot Robot Golf. I mean, it's exactly what it seems. It looks stupid as hell, but you know what else was a stupid idea? Was supersonic robot battle cars or whatever the hell that game was. That the precursor,
supersonic acrobatic rocket power battle cars.
The precursor to Rocket League, which is also another idea that sounds dumb on paper. So, and of course, look where it's at. It's a huge hit. So we'll see if this equally takes off.
Although, honestly, with this game, what I really want to see is, do you remember the PS2 games? What the hell were they called? Like Project Disaster or whatever?
Yeah, there was
where you had to
Disaster Report and Raw Danger. And there was a third one that never made it over here. And there was a fourth one that got canceled because of the massive earthquake that happened in Japan.
Okay, now hear me out. What if their follow-up was more or less that style game, but taking place during a game of 100-Foot Robot Golf? Where giant robots come into your city to start playing golf, you have to figure out how to get the hell out of the line of fire.
You say that. And keep in mind, this is me trying to go off of memory here, so I could be absolutely wrong. But I could have sworn that the developers of the Disaster Report series, which has an entirely different name over Japan, whose name escapes me, I heard that they're going to recreate 4. But rather than set it during an earthquake, they're going to set it during that kind of style thing, where it's like Ultraman fighting Godzilla. So you're running around on the city trying to avoid these 2 giant things duking it out.
See, that sounds awesome. I'd play that.
From memory. I could be completely wrong, or I could have just dreamed it. But I remember hearing some news about that a couple months ago. I can't quite remember what the details were. But yeah, 100-Foot Robot Golf, October 10th.
Cool.
Another bit of news that really has nothing to do with what we just talked about is that Resident Evil 7 plot details have leaked. Resident Evil 7, of course...
I don't know if it's like really a leak. I mean, I guess technically it's, but where it came from made it seem not like a leak.
Yeah. Resident Evil 7, of course, announced as a surprise at E3. It turns out this PSVR demo that's been going around was a stealth trailer for Resident Evil 7. Comes out in July, and this story comes via Gamatsu. Apparently, an ESRB posting leaked details about the upcoming survival horror game. The ESRB
so it's not really like the news got to it. It's the ESRB had to review the game for a rating, and they had to put, their rating description.
Yes, but the ESRB has since pulled the listing, but nothing has ever deleted the internet, so we have the full description right here. This does contain leaks for Resident Evil 7, so if you want to go in completely blind, sure, but honestly, there's nothing I'd be concerned myself here. Here is the ESRB's full description, and like I said, this is via Gamatsu. This is a survival horror game in which players assume the role of Ethan, a man searching for his wife in a derelict mansion. From a first-person perspective, players explore the environment and use pistols, shotguns, flamethrowers, explosives, and chainsaws to kill mutant creatures. Combat is accompanied by realistic gunfire, screams of pain, and exaggerated blood splatter effects. As players progress through the story, cutscenes can depict instances of gore and intense active violence. A character's arm is dismembered by a chainsaw. A man's leg is taken off at the knee with a shovel. A character impaled for the face with a shovel. Some areas also depict mutilated corpses with organs and viscera. The words fuck and shit are heard in the dialogue. Resident Evil 7 Biohazard launched PlayStation 4, Xbox One, PC on January 24th. It sounds like a Resident Evil game to me. The only thing that really is new here is the fact that you play Ethan, and we kind of gained that from the trailer, because apparently there's a couple of phone messages that mention Ethan, and he's looking for his wife, which sounds a hell of a lot like the plot to Silent Hill 2.
Oh, yeah. I was going to get there. So this sounds like a Resident Evil Silent Hill game.
I'm fine
I
with
was
that.
surprised by all the shovel murder.
Yeah, like a chainsaw. Okay, that's that's been a staple since RE4, is some dude chasing with a chainsaw. But some dude getting it with a shovel just sounds violent. I have to wonder if it's someone alive or if it's like a zombie, because keep in mind, this is the Resident Evil universe still. This is not a reboot. So expect T-Virus, G-Virus, RT, G-Virus, LBGT plus virus, whatever's out there.
That's funny.
So it's going to have all that wackiness in there. The question is just how far down that rabbit hole is it going to go? Is it going to actually try really hard to tie it to the previous games, or are they just going to be side mentioned like, oh yeah, we heard that Umbrella closed like 5 years ago, and that's the extent of the connections?
It's a Resident Evil game. I guarantee there's going to be a lot of nods to the rest of the series, if not just a continuation of the overall story to the series.
I'm excited for it.
Chris or Leon or someone will probably show up or make an appearance in the game, I would assume.
One would assume. I'm excited for it. I like that they seem to be going back to the survival horror part rather than the action-y bullet fest that was 5 and 6, and to a lesser degree 4.
Hey, shut up. 4's a treasure.
I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it was a departure from the rest of the series. A needed departure, but a departure. I am hearing some bad things about Resident Evil 7, though. Not so much gameplay-wise, as much as people are getting sick playing it in the VR mode. It's apparently not easy to get used to, and there are people reporting getting nauseous, having vertigo, and a whole host of other problems. And these are people who have used VR a lot, so we'll see if that turns out to be a problem. And I kind of hope it's not. I hope that they're able to fix whatever is causing that. I don't even begin to understand what might be causing that, though enough people that I know have experienced issues with it. That makes me think that it's an actual thing and not just, oh, they had a bad meal that day.
Poor FPS. Something.
I don't know. Final bit of news tonight. Blizzard games can now be live streamed through Facebook. And it's exactly as it sounds. They released a little video, which I have put up here. If you go to your Battle.net account, you'll see essentially this little streaming camera in the upper right corner. You click on that, you sign in with your Facebook, and it takes care of all of it right then and there. It is super, super interesting, easy to do. What is awesome, too, is that it does not drain from your PCU, from what I can tell. It is 100% handled on the Blizzard side of the server, so you're not going to notice any impact on your frame rate or anything like that.
As far as I know, it just automatically streams everything at 720p, though. So,
yeah, you're not going to get high def stuff. It's a trade-off, though.
But hey, if you want your Facebook friends to watch your Overwatch and you don't want to link to your Twitch, then go for it.
Well, see, this is the difference. Streaming on Twitch, that comes directly from your PC. That is all handled from your computer. If you have a middling rig, like I do, you can't do it. Unless you're playing something very simplistic like The Last Station, which comes out tomorrow. This, however, lets anyone stream, for the most part, because it's all handled Blizzard side. And they just post it up on your Facebook afterwards. It keeps the video on there, so you can save it from there. I tested it out earlier today. It was remarkably easy to do. So, this is cool. Compatible with anything Blizzard, from what I could tell. Overwatch, StarCraft, Diablo, Hearthstone. No chat functionality from what I saw. You can tell if people are watching you, but I didn't see any way that they can actually respond back to you. Something I think we need to test out, David, to see if we can't send messages, but that's for another time.
All right.
I like it. It's a total free thing they just threw in there. free in the fact that, let's face it, you're giving them free marketing, but Blizzard gets streaming, they get YouTube, unlike, say,
I actually
Nintendo.
think that this is probably much more related to the Facebook side of things, since Facebook is throwing their hat in the ring as far as being a game company.
Well, that they got that Oculus has Facebook money now, and they're teaming
So,
up with Microsoft, from what I understand, if I recall.
so I think this is more coming from the Facebook side. I mean, obviously Blizzard would control whether or not this actually happens, but I'm thinking that Facebook brought it up.
Yeah, I mean, I like it. It's a cool idea. More power to them.
Cool. In other Blizzard news, we should talk about new releases.
That sounds like a good plan. David, why don't you go ahead and kick off what's coming out this week?
I'll just talk about the one that everybody cares about that's not me, and that is the new World of Warcraft expansion called Legion. It releases, I think, later this evening.
I've
probably
been clean of WoW since halfway through Cataclysm, but Legion looks really goddamn cool.
I also like how you say clean, and you're excited about it because it's like a new type of meth just came out.
Hey, have you had crocodile?
Have you had drugs? They're great.
There's a reason why we do them when we know they decay your face, because they make you feel good.
You don't want none of this shit.
All of it.
Yeah. So
full
yeah.
disclosure: if I knew I was if like an asteroid was coming in a week, I would be so fucking high. I would do it all.
Fair.
I'd be like, why do I care? I'm gone in a week.
In the meantime, you can play the World of Warcraft expansion called Legion. That is the extent of the knowledge I have about that game.
Disco Keen says we're all high right now on America.
That's fair. I like me some America. New stuff happens. Probably cool stuff if you're one of those people. Also dropping this week, we have Attack on Titan, which is releasing on PS4, Xbox One, and PS3. Oddly enough, no 360 release, or maybe a misprint. If you're super into Attack on Titan somehow still, even though it's been out for like 2 years and the second season's not out yet, cool. You can play that video game.
The thing about that Attack on
Titan
way
after relevance.
It's being done by Omega Force. These are the same guys that did Dynasty Warriors, and it plays like a Dynasty Warriors game. If you are a fan of Dynasty Warriors game, which I will shamelessly admit that I am, I love me a good Dynasty Warriors. Every 3 years or so, I get the craving to play it. It actually looks kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's got something for some people that want to play it. I just go you. Comes out this week. Have fun.
Yeah, it's not for everyone.
Also coming out, I feel like every other week I talk about a new Fallout 4 expansion, and this week we're getting Fallout 4 Nuka World, which is a pretty cool name for anything, really. As you can imagine, you actually go to an amusement park based on the Nuka-Cola franchise. More or less, they had their own kind of Disney, and you get this awesome Fallout-based amusement park nonsense. From what I can tell, there's like decayed rides and more robots and all kinds of fun shit.
From what I understand, and keep in mind, I stopped paying attention to Fallout for a couple weeks after launch. It didn't quite do it for me. Not that it was a bad game, it just didn't capture me the way 3 or New Vegas did. From what I understand, Nuke World is an honest-to-God single-player content expansion, not just more stuff to enhance your settlements, which I feel ruined Fallout 4, but that's a matter of opinion. I also believe this is the last bit of DLC for Fallout 4, so after this, they should be done.
Well, we'll see. Also coming out this week, we have The Final Station releasing on PC. This is a game that I know little about. It is like sci-fi horror adventure style game.
Sci-fi 2D survival-ish game. I played like 5 minutes of it.
It looks very
I was going to say, it's hard to really describe because I only played it so briefly. It is from Tiny Build. They published it. Tiny Build is quickly turning it into like a Devolver Digital as far as like hidden gems go. Other games that Tiny Build did has released are Punch Club and Party Hard.
Just think of the kind of very popular currently 2D aesthetic that you're seeing in, like I said, a lot of Steam Greenlight games. And that's kind of what you're looking at. Also coming out, we have the complete edition of The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt for PC, PS4, Xbox.
Easily 200 hours of content in that. Easily.
Oh, yeah. If for some reason you haven't picked up Witcher 3 and all of the shenanigans that could also contain, I'd take a look at it. It's pretty fun. I didn't manage to beat it. The game is way too big for me to play.
One thing I want to mention is that I've completed Witcher 3, just the base game alone, doing as much as I could, finding everything that I could track down, and it took me 169 hours.
I put a decent amount in it, but I just couldn't. It's honestly too big. There's too much stuff to do.
That's a valid complaint.
Which is
valid
weird.
Complaint. Witcher 3, when contrasted to Fallout 4, blows Fallout 4 out of the water, in my opinion. Fallout 4 still feels like it's got a kind of a footstep in the past. Witcher 3 is what Bethesda Games needs to start looking at for the future, and we'll see.
Fallout 4 feels like just the same engine with a graphics texture backup guide.
Yeah.
Like, there's Skyrim mods that make it look better than Fallout. But Witcher 3 looks just amazing out of the box, and then there's graphics mods that make it look stupid amazing, so that's fun. Also coming out, we have the Turing Test for PC and Xbox One. This game actually looks awesome. It is a kind of adventure sci-fi game where you're on a station, more or less, and then, I don't know, there's something spooky going on. It's not really revealed to you from the trailer, but it's called the Turing Test, which is the test they use to see if an AI has actual sentience or if it's just faking it. And it's a game about exploring the entire idea of consciousness, about human intuition, and you're kind of exploring, and I do know that there's like spooky smart robots that show up, but that's not really something you would know just by Googling it really, really fast. But there's a bunch of puzzles to solve. It's very much an adventure game, but aesthetically it looks awesome, and from what I can tell, the soundtrack is pretty great.
Okay. So, what else we got?
Talking back to Resident Evil games, we're going to talk about one of the very best is being re-released for PS4 and Xbox One, and that is Resident Evil 4. Now, I'm assuming it is going to be the complete edition coming with the Ada missions and all of the additional survival missions where you can play as Wesker and all that stuff. But I'm not positive, so it could just be a straight re-release of the GameCube one. But
every generation has to release this.
I highly doubt they would do that. Resident Evil 4 was, for me, honestly, the definitive game for the GameCube. I don't think there was an actual single better game for the GameCube.
Yeah, no, I am in agreement on that. It was possibly the highlight of the GameCube library. The only thing that might rival it was the Twin Snakes.
Oh, yeah. Which is also available on a better console. All right, last up this week we have, how do we want to say this? Verdun. Yeah, it turns out we're Verdun, coming out for PS4. This is actually a Steam game that's been out for a while. It is the upcoming, very exciting World War I first-person shooter that I know everyone's been looking forward to, right? This is the one that everyone's talking about, Verdun.
Yeah.
Anyway, this game actually looks really fucking gritty and very realistic is kind of how they're selling it.
If they got the balls to call it Verdun, it better be. That was one of the more violent battles of World War I.
If you watch one of the trailers, they're really trying to stick you in the trenches and they're trying to immerse you and get you that feeling of like urgency and kind of just terror in general. Now, it doesn't look the best. It looks a little aged because this has been on Steam for about a year now. So, I mean, it's
been on there for longer, but yeah, it's old.
But it does look pretty damn cool. So if you really want to get your Battlefield 1 on before Battlefield 1 comes out, might be worth a shot.
Sounds good. I think that wraps it up for new releases, does it, David? Anything else you could think of?
Nah.
All right, let's go ahead and get on to the last segment of the show, and that's Topic of the Week. Topic of the Week, of course, is something that we started introducing about 4 or 5 weeks ago, and it is where we and you, if you're watching us live or even on YouTube, then you can post down in the comments, can tell us what you think about this opinion. And today's Topic of the Week is, what games do you like to have on the road? Now, as we mentioned at the beginning of the show, we are going to PAX, and we will both be traveling. I'll be flying, David will be driving. And as such, we're going to take shit with us. We're going to take some games with us because we can't be away from it for that long. So, the topic of the week is, what are your favorite travel games? Here's the criteria. Any game, including board games, by the way, can be considered. This includes mobile, handheld, and console games if you're the type of person that will actually lug your PlayStation 4 or Xbox One around with you. You must give a reason why you enjoy it for travel. In other words, it can't be, I play Call of Duty 3 because I like Call of Duty 3, or Black Ops 3 because I like Black Ops 3. You have to say, I like taking Black Ops 3 on the road with me because, and give reasons why it's good for you.
We have to explain our choices. I just made a list of like 15 things.
15, goddamn.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm totally lying. I'm totally lying. We're fine. We're fine.
Well, since you have the imaginary 15 list, why don't you start us off here?
Okay, so what's funny is I didn't used to travel that much, and back in the day when I would travel, I bought the original PSP when it came out, and I took that with me everywhere, regardless of how far I was going. So there was a point in time where it was literally just me and my PSP going everywhere. And at the time, my game of choice for really any situation, including being awkward in a social situation, wanting to leave, was to just play Lumines.
God damn it, that was my first one right there.
Yeah, Lumines was a fantastic game, one of the standout games for the original PSP. And I just remember having a road trip where I had to drive to Southern California, and it was the first time I ever managed to break 1,000,000 points in that game because I was just playing it for so long.
Fantastic soundtrack.
Yeah.
We have CoolCat69 in chat asking, have you ever played Suikoden 1 or 2? I played 2 on a road trip to America from Canada, and I played it for like 10 hours without getting bored.
Suikoden is a fantastic game.
I own Suikoden 1, 2. I own the entire collection. 1 was a great PlayStation 2 game, a PlayStation 1 game. Suikoden 2 is possibly one of the best JRPGs of all time, if not the best JRPG of all time. It is easily within my top 5 JRPGs, and for damn sure within my top 5 stories. It is an amazing game, and I'm always glad to see someone call out Suikoden 2. So good on you, CoolCat69.
I also like the third one.
Yeah, third one. I'm not saying that third one's great, but 2 is just by far an amazing, amazing game.
Yeah.
One of the favorite games.
Playing it on a road trip sounds pretty hardcore. I don't think I've ever been able to do that. That sounds cool.
Well, they were also on Vita, I believe, or not Vita, PSP. They're PlayStation classics, so you can play them on the Vita.
Okay, that makes sense.
One of my favorite games to play when I'm on the road. It's a mobile game. I know we don't talk about mobile games much on GamePoints, but I absolutely love this one, and it's dirt cheap. It's Plague Inc.
All right.
If I'm on the BART, I love to pop it out. What Plague Inc. is, it's a virus simulator where you play as a virus and you need to kill everyone in the world. Super simplistic, but super addictive. It's great to kill 15 minutes if you're sitting on the train going to work.
That's fair. So...
And Lumines was my first one, by the way, and David swiped that out from underneath me. So,
yeah, suck it. So the next thing, something that happened when I had my PSP and has now continued onto my phone since phones have gotten smarter, is always having a Super Nintendo emulator on me at all times. It's just a thing that you have in your life now.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so back in the day, I would just play classics. I'd get bored. I'd play Donkey Kong Country. I'd play this. I'd play that. The one thing that's funny is on any device that I manage to put an emulator on, at some point in time, I will always manage to put a copy of Final Fantasy VI on it.
God damn it. I'm so upset.
Yeah, I'm just going to take that one from you because suck it, I went first. Final Fantasy VI is an amazing game. If you've never played it, you should go do that. Just stop watching the show. Just go start a new game of Final Fantasy VI.
Please don't stop watching the show. We'll be over in about another 15 minutes.
The soundtrack's amazing. The story's amazing. The game is fun. And if you're playing it with emulation, save states make that game fantastic for trips. Because you can just save right where I am, walk away even in the middle of a fight, and come back and pick it up.
Well, I was also going to say Final Fantasy VI for the exact same reason. You can save state, shut it down, and go right from there. So I will move on to what my next one is, and that is Fire Emblem for the 3DS. Now, any Fire Emblem works. I'm going to go ahead and go with the current one right now, and that's Fire Emblem Fates. It's turn-based, so it's easy to put away during the middle of a turn. You can just open it back up and get right back into where it's at. It's got a very interesting story to it. It's something you can play real quick. You can get a couple turns in or get a map in if you got like 20 minutes or so, and then close it and put it away and pop it open a little bit later. As far as handheld games go, I think it is one of the better ones out there, especially for the 3DS. Something I'd recommend taking a look if you're looking for gaming on the go. You're next, David.
I know. I'm bringing it back. So if we're going to move to 3DS, I'm actually going to go back a little bit further and talk about a PS2 game that I really, really, really wish would come back to a Sony console, or even just to a console in general. And this is a game called Monster Hunter. Monster Hunter released on the PS2 a million years ago. Not actually a million years ago, but I mean over a decade ago at this point. And I loved that game. I just poured hours and hours and hours into it. I probably had somewhere near 1,000 hours in the first game on the PS2. And then they released it on the PSP, and my love for it just jumped right over there. As time's gone on, it then jumped ship to being on Nintendo consoles, got released for 3DS, and yeah, I like the Monster Hunter franchise. At this point, it's kind of upsetting though because they've been on portable consoles for so long that I'm actually starting to get burnt of the mobile version, and I really want a full HD glorious edition of Monster Hunter.
I'm in that same boat. I'm tired of getting handheld Monster Hunters. I want a console one. Now I know that kind of defeats the point of this topic.
Because at this point there's been what, 6 of them released just for the 3DS. Or just some ridiculous, way too many for a single console.
The internet infrastructure is in there too to actually do a multiplayer one good on a console.
Yeah, but the problem I have with it is the series is kind of stagnated for me. I mean, they're able to add new locations and new monsters and new weapons, but it's not really breaking the wheel. You know, it's just kind of another Monster Hunter. But as far as something that you can just hop on and play for a while, that game is super fun. You can play it with your friends. You can sit down with a group of 4 people and run around with it. If you're sitting in line waiting for something, that's always great. And it's got, fun single player, and you can pause your single player at any time, so that's always great too.
Now, before I give my last one, CoolCat69 also gives another great suggestion in chat. He mentioned as I stumble over my words, he mentions the Zero Escape games. They're essentially visual novels with puzzle elements thrown in there, but they are very dark visual novels. There's a trilogy of them so far right now, and that's 999, Virtue's Last Reward, and Zero Time Dilemma. Imagine a visual novel set around the movie Cube. If you've ever seen the movie Cube, I know that's kind of an abstract idea. Or Saw.
It's a very weird movie.
It's very Saw-ish, to where you lock a bunch of people in one room and go, all right, you have X amount of time to get out or you're all going to die. And a lot of the puzzles are meant to kill off the other players. I absolutely agree. It's another one of those games that you can start up, pick up, and just shut down and be done with it. And it is a great suggestion, Cool Cats. I'm kind of actually upset I didn't have it on my list to begin with. My final game is... It's a little bit less travel-y as much as something I can set up in my hotel room, and that is Guild Wars 2. Any MMO for the most part works for this, but I like Guild Wars 2 specifically because it runs decently well on lower-end laptops, which is what I use. It keeps me connected socially with a bunch of people that I enjoy talking to, and it's something I can log on and just kind of have as a chat program while I'm doing work on the road. And if I want to bust out my dailies real quick, I can take a 30-minute break, pop them off, and go right back on there. And there's no sub, so I don't feel like I'm getting bled a monthly fee for not playing it when I'm normally at home, because it's normally something I would play on the road. It just fits perfectly for me. I realize that might be an odd game to list on here, but for me specifically, that game is fantastic to take around.
All right. That's fair. So if you're dragging your laptop around, the only one that I really had that I felt was a good mobile game that's on my computer that's able that I can run it without killing my battery instantly is FTL. Because FTL is a fantastic game with a great soundtrack, but it's not that much of a resources hog. I mean, I can play it on my 11-year-old notebook.
Yeah, FTL is amazing. I didn't even think about it.
It's just a very small game. It's really fun. It's a roguelike, so it's different every time, and you can put as much time into it, as much energy into it as you want. And it's just kind of perfect for when you need an extra 10, 15 minutes. Or if you want to, you can sit there and play it for a couple hours. I've done it. So
yeah,
I really like that game.
In fact, I believe you can even get FTL on iPhone and Android devices now. I'm not positive on that, so double check that. I'm pretty sure it's on one of those two, though. Yeah,
that's they have.
I believe, knock on wood, that they have mobile versions of it out right now. If you actually want it on your phone, please double check this information. I'm not 100% on that. It's been a while since I thought about FTL. That is a fantastic mobile game, though.
Mm-hmm.
I think that wraps it up.
I got one more.
You got one more you want to go ahead and mention? All right. What do you got?
Yeah, I got one more. And what's funny is that this is a game that occurred to me more recently than I think a lot of other people. I never played the originals, so I'm kind of an outcast as far as that. But I got into the more recent series, and with another game that recently came out, a lot of popularity's hit with this series in particular. And it's something that I've currently been playing mobilely a lot, and that is Pokemon.
Okay. Yeah. No. That game is, especially with Pokemon Go out. That game is actually designed to get you to interact with other people. Pokemon Go aside, with trading between other players who are on it, transferring
Which isn't
Pokemon
out yet.
around. I'm not talking about
Isn't out yet.
Pokemon Go aside. I'm talking now about Pokemon games in
Okay,
proper that you can actually
thank
like.
you.
It's designed to actually get you out in public, interact with other
Hmm.
people. So that makes perfect sense to take on the road.
Yeah, I've also been going through the library of some of the fan-made Pokemon games, which is pretty enjoyable.
Didn't
So,
even know those existed.
yeah,
Chat is
there's a whole group of them.
Chat is confirming FTL is only on iPad. So once again, thank you, Cool Cats. I appreciate you doing the fact checking on that.
I should buy that for my iPad.
Anything else you want to bring up, David, before we wrap up here, or is that going to wrap it up for today?
I believe that's it, and we actually managed to finish on time today, so that's very exciting for all of you that have been sitting here watching us.
It is. This has been Game Points. Once again, we do stream live every Monday at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time when we can. Keep in mind that next week we are going to be at PAX, so we probably won't be streaming until Tuesday, but we'll be live then. If you want to watch any past episodes of the show that didn't have any technical difficulties, you can always go to YouTube, type in Game Points, one word. We pop right up there, and you can visit our archive through there. If you're at YouTube, we'd appreciate it to like, subscribe, and do all that good stuff. And if you're watching us right now on there, feel free to comment below and anything else you may or may not have. You can also take a look at us on Facebook, type in Game Points Podcast, we pop right up. That will give you notifications when we go live, as well as if we have any delays. You can follow the show on Twitter at GamePoints PC, and you can also follow us individually. I'm Stephen Brown at CapitalistPig21. That's David Smith at _Satori. This has been Game Points episode 49. Thank you for joining us live, and we are out of here.